Hello everybody, my name is Sunny Rabbit, and in case you couldn't tell, I'm back to talk about Ivypool's Heart. So after an excruciatingly long hiatus, I finally got my paws on Ivypool's Heart. I took some notes and jotted down my thoughts as I read, so we can dive right into those right after some housekeeping. Warrior Cat Wednesdays will probably be switching to Warrior Cat Thursdays or just Warrior Cats whenever I can post a video at this point. My schedule was so full last year that I literally could not sit down to record or edit. By spring of next year, I'll be able to be more consistent with my uploads, but for right now, it's out of my paws until then. The next quick announcement is that I plan on doing a book giveaway once the A Starless Clan arc finishes up. I have the hardcovers for the A Starless Clan books and both Riverstar's Home and Ivypool's Heart that are going to be the prizes. I'm still working on the details, which will be sorted out once the final book releases, and I'll announce the official contest then. But if you are interested in possibly getting these books, keep an eye out for my official announcement. I will no longer be using Twitter after this video is posted, so you'll be able to find me on Bluesky instead. That should be everything for now, so let's hop right into talking about Ivypool's Heart. So, like with all the initial thoughts videos I've done in the past, this is more of like a loose collection of thoughts I had while reading the books, and not really something more fleshed out that will come in a later video. And one thing I did notice that I guess didn't really occur to me or anyone else really, is that Ivypool's Heart, the cover doesn't have the glossy, plasticky cover that the last A Starless Clan book has. And I guess that really surprised me, because I thought from now on we'd be getting that more plasticky cover on the hardcovers. But no, it's the same papery, glossy covers that we have usually, so I'm not sure if they're gonna officially make the switch with Changing Skies or what happened with the last one, but the cover is different. If you didn't like the glossy covers of the last book, Ivypool's Heart does not have it, which I thought was interesting. The next thing I wanted to talk about is the audiobook. The audiobook wasn't read by the usual narrator this time around. It happens from time to time. Super editions won't always be read by McLeod Andrews due to scheduling conflicts, though he hasn't narrated a super edition since Leopard Star's Honor. For some additional context, as a SAG-AFTRA member, he's currently on strike right now to get protections against AI being used in the video game industry without consent or fair compensation. So while he will be reading the next book, Star, The Elder's Quest is going to be read by a different narrator. I don't usually see other Warrior Cats YouTubers talking about the audiobooks a lot, actually. It's the main way I read the series right now, and I do have physical copies that I read, but the new book releases sometimes happen during the weekdays where I am unable to read the physical book, so the audiobooks are usually my first experience with any of the newer releases. And while as a whole I did enjoy this book, I feel like it was in spite of the audiobook because it was not that great this time around. There should have been a few more retakes or a better director on board. There should not have been as many mistakes in the narration as there were, and I don't mean like the narrator reading typos. As an unabridged reading, they have to read the typos because it's unabridged. But my notes are filled with me wondering if something is a typo, only to go and check the physical edition and find out it was just the narrator needing to have gone back and maybe have reread a line. Like, no audiobook is perfect, but this super edition came out a little half-baked on the audiobook side. There was like several instances of mangle pelt, and then later on we hear the correct version, mange pelt. But within the book itself, the physical edition, there was no mangle pelt. It was just an error in the narration, which I thought was a little weird.
Lion Blaze, take a hunting patrol with Stormcloud and Sorrel Stripe, and Sparkspelt. You lead another with Twigsbranch and Shelfer. Did Splashtail send you? Icewing's fur bristled with indignation. That Manglepelt? No, he did not. Stupid Manglepelts, she muttered. An image sprang into Ivy's mind of herself and her companions stretched lifeless on the black surface.
Squirrel Star did get an old lady voice in this book, and I thought that was really funny and correct because she is kind of old. She's been around since the second series, so I love me some old lady Squirrel Star. Maybe in the normal books we can get that instead of it just being in a super edition.
I've asked Cinderheart to be my temporary deputy while you're away. I thought the two of you ought to have a talk about what the duties are.
Other than that, the Super Edition is definitely the shortest, with the audiobook being only 9 hours and 24 minutes, which is only around an hour longer than other normal Warrior Cats books. So while it is the shortest super edition, I guess it would be almost the longest normal book. So for the book itself, we get Whistlepaw getting a vision from a mysterious somewhere. Apparently it wasn't StarClan. And then the next chapter we start with Ivypool and Rootspring meeting by the lake because they're being sad about Bristlefrost. I'm still sad about Bristlefrost. They meet and they grieve, and I thought it was kind of really sweet. They're having like therapy together. And Ivypool has been neglecting her deputy duties because she's been grieving for her daughter. Which, yeah, I would be grieving for my daughter too if she kind of double died. We've seen this before where some cats feel as though the clan is moving on without their loved ones that they lost. Like Blue Stars had that, where seeing the joy of others makes her feel as though they're forgetting their lost loved ones. And Ivypool is snapping and being pretty angry and stressed out with some of the other cats in her clan, like her husband, Fernsong, who's a really good guy. He's very patient with her. He's learned to get past his grief and continue on with clan life. I do think it's a little weird how, not quickly, but I did think it's a little weird how he's not as upset about what happened to Bristlefrost and he's somehow moved on, because cats double dying has only happened like a handful of times. So I guess I just found it weird that Fernsong had moved on, but I guess that happens. An emergency medicine cat meeting. Emergency medicine cat meeting is happening, everyone. Whistlepaw has had the vision, so the medicine cats are gathering, and then the leaders gather to talk about this prophecy or omen or vision that she's had, whatever the book wants to call it, of she draws a symbol on the ground of like a storm cloud with some lightning and some vines like tying it together. It's very hard for me to visualize, but everyone else has such nice Storm Clan symbols. I can't wait to see the official version, and I guess whoever gets the closest to the official design gets a cheeseburger. So the cats decide that they have to go to this Foxhead Mountain to repay a debt that the clans owe, and the cats that are chosen are Rootspring, Dovewing, Ivypool, Whistlepaw, obviously, and then Icewing tags along later. I did like the setup of this book a lot. The themes that they were talking about with grief, moving on when someone you love is gone, whether Rootspring is going to eventually move on to have a, wife and kids. The mystery with the cats leaving behind the muling kits. I thought the prophecy that they were given was pretty solid. And in my notes I say, the only complaint I have is with the narration, and I'll imagine I'll get used to it eventually. So, yeah. I just felt like the narration was better suited for a series more like Wings of Fire, with a lot of younger teenage characters, instead of for the more, mature Warrior Cats books, because a lot of these characters are adult-aged, or even Whistlepaw. I had to look up how old she was, and because she's older than Frostpaw, whose siblings are said to have been warrior age since book 2 or 3 of the Starless Clan. And the wiki says Whistlepaw's almost 2 years old, and she's 17 moons. She was originally a warrior apprentice before switching over to a medicine cat, but wow, is she old to be an apprentice. I got completely sidetracked, but basically they're going on this journey to repay a debt and to stop a future where the river runs red with blood. And I was under the impression that whenever they got a prophecy or omen, that it was going to happen regardless of how hard they tried to stop it. There hasn't been a warning that hasn't come true. It's possible to be misinterpreted, but as far as I was just under the impression that everything that they saw in visions was oh, it's going to happen. So the group leaves from the moon pool to go to the Foxhead Mountain, and then some rain happens and they can no longer see the Foxhead Mountain, so they're sort of just stuck, twiddling their thumbs, wondering when the rain's gonna clear. And they're hungry. They're very hungry in this book. A lot of the times they will be hungry in hunting. And they find a barn to hunt some plump mice, and we get a Warrior Clan mention. Warrior Clan mention, oh my gosh, and the title drop, Warrior Cats. That's what they say. They say it in this book. Trust me, believe me. Title drop, Warrior Cats. For a long time, I thought they were referring to Snaptooth and Fly Whisker, because they left to be kitty pets and they were warriors. Because when they mentioned Warrior Clan, they're like, oh yeah, we meant some warrior cats who were kitty pets and they had 2 legs. And I thought they were talking about Snaptooth and Fly Whisker. I wonder what they're up to. So they beat up the kitty pets, but the kitty pets summon Dog, and everybody has to run. That won't be the last time that happens. For the next few days, it's still raining, but they come across these 2 cats who they think are kitty pets, but they're not. They're descendants of the sisters, Slate and Beach. Slate and Beach are definitely a highlight of this book. They're very funny, and I enjoyed their interactions with the warrior cats. Apparently they don't know how to clean, which is a little weird. I guess they don't notice that they're stinky. But they were definitely 2 characters I'd like to see come back in the regular books. Slate and Beach had encountered the kitty pets that the warriors did earlier, and they encounter them again, and Ivypool goes like bananas on a dog, and she starts like tearing into it, just using her dark forest ninjutsu skills, and that was pretty awesome. She's so cool. They do manage to make it to the sisters, and there's some tension between the clan cats and the sisters. I guess the whole moonlight dying thing and needing to like get to the dark forest has made things a little awkward. Ivypool throughout this book, whenever the sisters are mentioned, is not happy with the way they treat their male kin, which is like valid, completely valid. I don't think anyone really within the fandom likes the sisters. Obviously the misandry is really bad, but there was one instance in this book that made me feel a little weird, the way it was, I guess, phrased. Like, I get the sentiment, but here's the part. The sisters would never know, she realized, the trust that could rise between a she-cat and her mate, or the joy of sharing kits with their mate, or of caring for them together as she and Fernsong had done. Her happiness in giving birth and seeing her kids grow up had been so much deeper, because Fernsong had felt it too. The sisters have no idea what they're missing. That just gave me very weird vibes of like, because they're not raising their kits in a specific way, they're not really experiencing it in the best way they can. And I'm not sure that I don't know, it just gave me weird vibes. Like, it's like they're not doing it correctly. Like, she could have left it at the line, especially because of how they abandon their mates and send their tom kits away. The misandry's bad, but like, saying because they don't raise their kits with their mates makes them not as happy gives me like, I don't know. Please don't flame me in the comments for that. It just didn't mesh with me very well. I get the sentiment, and I don't like the sisters either, because the sending away the male kits is very strange within this universe. Because I guess it doesn't really make very much sense to me. Like, I get they have the powers and stuff, but even then, like, huh? I don't know. Just that specific bit kind of came at me sideways. The sisters got a lot of, like, Ivypool not liking them in this book, and I think that, to me, was a little too much. Like, just bring it back, like, half an inch. So the sisters send them on their way, and there's a lot of running, hunting, being hungry, being sad, rinse, repeat. By the midpoint of the book, I was tired of it, and then after I had wrote that in my notes, like 2 more instances of them running from 2-leg things and being hungry happened. So this book's up to chapter 15 was very bland. It's always interesting to see them interacting and discovering new 2-leg objects. Like, I think they see, like, a 2-leg on, like, a tractor who's, like, I guess, in an apple field, and they see, like, two legs on, I think, like a horse-drawn carriage. And that's interesting, but this book did not need several instances of them seeing something, that thing coming towards them, and then someone saying, "Run!" And then they scramble to get out of the way. Eventually, they get to the Sundrown place, and they meet a old Tom named Jake. And I thought that was really funny. I suppose he's more like the cat formerly known as Jake, because he doesn't have a name anymore. His two legs just used to call him Jake. But he gives their protagonists some advice about crabs, and I thought we've already seen crabs in this universe before, but I guess I'm mistaken. The Warrior Cats canon name prefix list leaving my body the moment I played Clan Gen, because I swore we had like a crab kit or a crab paw before, but I think I'm just thinking of a Wings of Fire character named Crab. We did see pine martens earlier, which I think hadn't made an appearance before. They, like, some cats are like, "Oh yeah, I've seen them before at the lake." And like, where? I'd like to see one at the lake. Whistlepaw is described as being little or like short, and her being warrior aged means that she's like squirrel flight sized, and that makes me so happy. By chapter 15, this book definitely picks up. The traveling chunk in the very beginning was just boring. And too repetitive, but after that it's all uphill. I don't think there's like a downhill. It's all uphill from here. It's all up. We can't go any higher than this. We meet some wildcats in what seems to be like an illegal exotic pet trading, selling place. There's like a bald guy with a bushy mustache who's like abusing these animals and keeping them in dirty conditions so he can sell them later. And there's two wildcats with these weird names, Tumble Leap and Stalkpur, and they say that they know the clan cats, or of a clan, Storm Clan, and I'm actually hype about Storm Clan. It's nice to just see other animals in the books that the cats are friendly with, other than, I mean, I know these are felines as well, but it's just good to see them not being, I guess, attacked by weirdly aggressive dogs. Also, rip to anyone with a Storm Clan, OC clan. You're gonna have to change it, because there's an official one now. I'm joking when I say that, but I actually have to change some of my OCs, because now they're suspiciously close to Gale Star and Stripe Star. So these two wildcats are trapped in the big facility with the mean bald man with the mean dog. They don't want to leave because Tumblepur is the lady cat and she's pregnant with kits, and they've already lost 2 litters before, so they've pretty much resigned themselves to wanting to stay with this man because they get consistent food. And they're, like, if they just have a litter of healthy kits, they think everything's gonna be fine, because these wild cats are endangered where they live. They don't really know a lot of other wild cats, and it's up to the clan cats to convince them to want to leave, because they have to repay the debt of Storm Clan. So the protagonists go to this mysterious star tree where they meet with the wildcat ancestors and meet this former clan cat named Gale Star, who regales, them a tale of Storm Clans forming and I guess eventual destruction. So she was in love with this handsome Thunder Clan cat named Stripe Star. Because they didn't want to break the code, they merged their clans, Wind Clan and Thunder Clan, together, and they formed Storm Clan and created a symbol to tie them together. And the other clans were not happy about that, but for a while things were fine, and then things weren't fine. And then Storm Clan left because those things weren't fine. There was no food in the territories, and the other clans were blaming Storm Clan, even though Storm Clan was suffering along with them. But Storm Clan tried to find some place to settle, and it was not great at first because everywhere was occupied or not great for their clan, but things were fine again because Gale Star was pregnant. Gale Star has 3 kits, and then there's some internal conflict within Storm Clan. Some of the cats want to leave because it's leaf fall, and if it's leaf bare and they're near the Sundrown water, things could get tough for them. But some cats want to stay, like Gale Star wants to stay because the kits are too young to travel and that would be really hard on them. Stripe Star decides that he wants to leave, so they decide to go. But when they do, there's a big storm, and Gale Star is left behind and basically trapped in a rock slide. And even though Storm's clan tries to help her, they can't because it's like a big storm and everyone else is gonna die if they don't, so they have to move on. Gale Star is eventually found by some wildcats who take her in. She's loving wildcat life because she gets a mate, she has some kits, and things are fine. She doesn't even think about going back to find StormClan or Stripe Star. She just living wildcat life, and then she dies and she goes to the wildcat heaven instead of StarClan's heaven. Eventually StormClan is forgotten, and that is that. Basically, Gale Star wants them to save Tumbleweed and Stalkpur and reunite them with their wildcat clan who lives just over the other side of the mountain that they're on. There's actually a mention of the blazing starflower prophecy during this exposition dump, and I thought that was like an interesting callback. I do wonder when the whole StormClan thing took place, because it has to be, I guess, before SkyClan leaving, because I feel like it would be weird if SkyClan left and then StormClan was formed and then they forgot about them. I don't know, that bit of time between SkyClan leaving and then I guess Rusty happening seems like too short of a time, so I'm just going with the assumption that StormClan happened and then a long time passed and then SkyClan left, because that to me makes the most sense. It also has to happen after the code officially has the rule about cats from two different clans not being able to be mates. So I guess like sometime early in clan history, but we don't know when that rule was officially made, and that's just me speculating. I feel like something like this big within clan history would have to have like a code about it, like two clans can't be together, but it's like if they forgot about it, I guess it sort of makes sense, but okay. The scene with Tumbleweed and Stalkpur I really enjoyed when they were released. I thought it was like a really well done scene, even though by this point I was done with like Two Leg and running away from things antics, but I thought this scene was really good. I think you should read it for yourself, I guess. So Tumbleweed and Stalkpur are free, hooray. They're still a little shaky after being trapped for so long. They don't even know how long they were trapped, but apparently a long time. But they're still really good at hunting, and they're really big. And some time passes, and Icewing gets this dream, a really scary dream, about Frostpaw dying, and like RiverClan is in shambles. And there's this weird line from Root Spring. It says, "Isn't it obvious in the dream StarClan showed us what will happen if we don't stop it? And what's the way to stop it happening to repay the debt?" And like, did Goosefeather have a skill issue? Because they're really making it seem like StarClan can show you the future and you can stop bad things from happening, but Goosefeather could see the future and he couldn't do anything. So did he suck? Did everyone... was something wrong with him? Anyway, there was this lovely scene with Stalkpur and Ivypool, where Ivypool tells Stalkpur about Bristlefrost, because whenever she tells people about Bristlefrost, they're like, oh, well, you'll see her again when you die, and obviously she can't because she's double dead. And Stalkpur, like, just turns to Ivypool, and I guess by extension the reader, that just because Ivypool thinks that Bristlefrost is gone forever doesn't really mean she is. There's like 1,000 possibilities for Bristlefrost to still exist. She just maybe needs to find it, or she's completely hopeless that Bristlefrost is gone forever, when maybe that's just like her perspective. She could just like, maybe there's like a second StarClan on top of the first one where Bristlefrost is chilling. But it's just like the beliefs of the clan cats isn't final. There's still more out there. She just has to look for it and open her eyes and see. However, this does make me a little concerned that Ashfur is still out there somewhere in the trees or something. Also, has anyone read Seekers? Because the talking about the spirits being in the environment reminds me a lot of the Aaron Hunter book Seekers, because the bears would be, when they died, it was like the polar bears would be in the ice. I think brown bears would be in the trees, and was it black bears would be in the river, and their faces would be like etched into those environments, and I thought that was cool. So it's giving me big Seekers vibes. We must have got another instance of someone running from something, because I have a thing that just says just retire the word at this point. Stockpur has her kits, and the ceremonial birthing stick appears. Hooray. One of the kits isn't breathing when it comes out. It's alive, but it's just not breathing. And Whistlepaw starts like windmilling it. And I was like baffled when this scene came up. It was like confusing. I was very concerned. I'm like, it's a fictional series, but like please don't shake that baby. What? I get what they were going for. I guess there is some sort of technique that is used in, I guess, literally like last resort situations for trying to clear the airways of puppies and kittens. But the way it is described in this book makes it seem like Whistlepaw would probably give this kit brain damage, at the very least. I get what they were going for, but it seems like a crucial part of this specific technique seems to be supporting the neck of the animal you are holding. So Icewing and Ivypool decide to travel alone to go meet with their wildcats and let them know that Tumbleleap and Stockpur are on their way. They have good chemistry together. Icewing dares Ivypool to eat a bat, and I thought that was really funny. They encounter a really aggressive wildcat, and they're like, whoa, what do you mean? Like, calm down, bro. It's very funny that clan cats are like, they're like offended that another cat is defending their territory like a clan cat is. And they're like, oh, why are you accusing us of prey stealing? We're not trespassing. And even Ivypool made the comparison later. I'm like, yeah, it's a little mean, isn't it? So the Wildcat Elders convene to see if they're gonna allow Stockpur and Tumbleleap to join, because they don't really believe that Ivypool and Icewing are telling the truth. Ivypool says that she knew from her own experience with StarClan's prophecies how easily everything could go wrong. The outcome StarClan intended might not be what happened, or it might happen in the way they would never have chosen. Yeah, StarClan might like predict a prophecy, but it's like the outcome usually is the way it happens. Like, the way the living cats interpret it might be wrong, but StarClan never predicts something and they're like, oh no, that's not what we meant. The outcome StarClan intended might not be what happened is like a line I'm trying to figure out, like, what is she referring to? Because I can't think of a prophecy that has not come true in some way. So at first the Wildcat Elders are salty and they're like, you're on the wrong team. I can't believe you're like a Storm Clan defender. Get out of here. Storm Clan defenders do not interact. But then some foxes attack and Ivypool and Icewing help, and then the Wildcat Elders are like, oh, we were wrong. We're so sorry. We'll unblock you now. And they take them to visit the Wildcat Ancestry Grounds again. Gale Star's there, and she shows Ivypool and Icewing the big river that connects all the afterlives that the cats go to. Wildcats, the tribe cats are connected through this river, and they float down a log and they go to StarClan, where Gale Star basically info dumps again to StarClan instead of Ivypool and her friends. I do think it's interesting that we get a different group of cats teaching the clan something instead of the other way around. Usually it's the clan cats. They'll go to a place and then the clan will influence that group, but now it's the other way around, and that feels so much more refreshing. Part of this goes into showing the clan cats that when cats double die, they don't really disappear forever. They're just like, their spirit is essentially scattered around, and so they're part of everything. They're in the rivers, they're in the wind, they're in the trees, everything basically. Someone could be in a volcano. Actually, we should see that. One question I did have is, so Gale Star helps StarClan remember StormClan, like Stripe Star, this cat named Rosebush, I think White Breeze, and they start becoming solid and being remembered. And how does the solidity of the cat depend on the memories? Because I still remember Mapleshade being described as really see-through, even though both like Dark Forest, StarClan, and the living cats remember her at this point. So it's still weird that she's being described as like rather see-through. Also, the sort of backtracking a bit, the all the afterlives being connected by a river, can Dark Forest cats theoretically go to the tribe if their afterlives are all connected? Like, say, like, they get, like, StarClan powers for the day. Could a Dark Forest cat go to the tribe through the river? Like, that's a question I have. I don't think we're ever gonna see that, but it's, like, theoretically, is that possible? Like, without any of the limitations that Dark Forest cats have. Also, there are too many S clans. We got Storm Clan, Star Clan, and Sky Clan. It's too much. We got too many S clans. It's weighty on one side. We see Ferncloud taking care of Rowan Kit in Star Clan, and that gives Devilwing some closure about Rowan Kit. Because I feel like we don't see a lot of perspectives in this series because we usually start out from protagonists who are young, and by the time they have kids, they're no longer the protagonist. So we don't really see parents losing kids as a common perspective and the grief that they go through and having to deal with that. Usually it's like a mate or a sibling. So seeing a cat losing like a child is like an interesting perspective, and I really think that this book handled grief and the themes around that well, like moving on when everyone else is, but you can't, is you living your life like forgetting them. I just feel like they had a lot to say about those specific themes, and I really enjoyed that. And I feel like because of the themes and the journey Ivypool's character went on in this book didn't feel as short as some of the other ones. Like, if you told me this was the shortest super edition, I guess I'd say maybe like Tigerheart Shadow was shorter, but this one just feels like it has a lot to say about these characters, the journey that they're on, and how it affects them. So the book starts winding down now that the Wildcats are reunited. Tumble, Leap, and Stalkper's children get their full names, and I feel like the Wildcats being in this book gave me big Tail Chaser song vibes, because, well, Pounce gets a name, Pounce Whisper, but it's like if it could have been Pounce Quick. And I'm just saying that was a missed opportunity. Overall, the ending was probably one of the stronger points in this book because it's like the calm after all the chaos of this book. Like, we get a huge lore dump. We meet wildcats. There's like running from things and being hungry. And the calm after the storm is essentially what the ending is. Learning, like decompressing. This book decompressed from all of that really good, with Ivypool finding out that Bristlefrost was all around her and seeing the deer and talking with Rootspring and being content with him wanting a mate and a family, because he realized about that was part of his journey, is realizing he wants to be a father one day, and he wants a mate that's like worthy of Bristlefrost. He doesn't want like a replacement. He wants someone who he can say Bristlefrost would be okay with this. And I thought that was nice. And then Ivypool just being content with her daughter, even though she won't be able to physically be with her, she's still with her, but in like a different way. And I thought that was nice. This book had a lot to say, and it did it really well. I feel like when it stumbled early on, the second half of the book really made up for it. I feel as though Whistlepaw getting her medicine cat name in the next book is barring any plot stuff, because like say when they go back and Wind Clan's like completely fallen apart, but if Whistlepaw's gonna get her medicine cat name soon, whenever possible, because at this point I just would feel like Kestrel Flight has something against her if he doesn't give it to her. Also, Moon Kitty, I'm glad you think Greystripe's Vow is better than Ivypool's Heart. Warrior Clan now, Warrior Clan tomorrow, Warrior Clan forever. I'd say this is definitely one of the better super editions, but it's no Crooked Star's Promise. Let's establish that right now. It's no Crooked Star's Promise, but I don't think it's as, like, the lows in this book aren't as low as some of the other ones, but it definitely does not reach the highs of, I feel like, The Tall Star's Revenge is, like, the one that immediately comes to mind. So I want to personally give it, like, a 7 out of 10, definitely leaning more towards an 8 than a 6, but I feel like it won't be for everyone because it's a journey and you have to be willing to have the repetitiveness of Ivypool. I feel like learning the same thing over and over again and like reiterating what she's learned, but I feel like the ending sort of makes up for that. You just have to be, I guess it's going to be an acquired taste. It's not going to be for everyone, but this is definitely one of the better super editions in more recent years. And I am excited for the follow-up of the super edition 18. So we'll see how it goes, but I think this was a strong entry. Just as a final thought, I guess I'm not all too concerned with the timeline of where StormClan fits. To me, I guess my biggest hang-up is the logistics of, like, StarClan forgetting an entire clan again. Like, we forgot 2 clans. This one's just more mysterious and more secret. They should do a 3rd one just for fun. So, I guess I'm not too concerned, because for me, the period between Dawn of the Clans and then, I guess, Cloudstar's journey, that's, like, my peak timeline. I love that era because it's so mysterious. You can do anything with it. And, like, if we were to have an animated series, I wouldn't want it to be an Into the Wild adaptation. I'd want it to be, like, an anthology of Warrior Cats in that time period before Cloudstar's journey, but just after Riverstar's home, I suppose. So, I guess I'm not too concerned with the timeline in that aspect. If it starts getting really, 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 really funky, then I guess I'll have my complaints, but it's not like... I guess if it can be goofy, like how SkyClan was essentially on, like, a time pause, basically in their own bubble, until they got introduced back into the series. Because we can just kind of look past that. It's not like, I guess, universe ending until they start getting into, like, the weeds with the cat ages, but they can just do whatever. I guess as long as it's not, StormClan only disappeared 5 years before Cloudstar's journey, as long as it's nothing like that, I think it should be okay. Like, people can be like, it doesn't make sense, but I'm like, we can make as many theory videos and, like, doing the math and the timeline, but for right now, like, StormClan, if you're here to stay, I'm gonna be happy with it. Just don't make Cloudstar's journey have weird time issues.